Hello everyone, it's me, it's Porter, and today we're going to be redesigning more of the starter Pokemon that I designed in this video a few weeks ago. If you haven't seen that video, then you're currently watching things out of order, and that should be illegal! So pause this video, and go check out the Callista region playlist to get caught up. Anywho, last video I redesigned the grass starters, and you all seem to really like them, so in this video I'll be moving on to the fire starters, Embird, Birntoo, and Eternix. They're all based on cockatoos, with a little bit of Phoenix thrown in for flair. In general, these three didn't get as much feedback as the others, but you still brought up some pretty good points about their designs. And honestly, I'm still pretty blown away by the amount of suggestions and fan art I got for these Pokemon, so I want to take a moment to thank all of you for all of the love I've been getting on this project so far. I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without all of your support. You all mean so much to me. Thank you for everything. But enough of that mushy-gushy stuff. You all came here to watch me draw Pokemon, not to hear me pour my heart out. So without further ado, let's get to the art. Just like last video, I designed the base form live on Twitch, so if you want to see my live content, go follow me there. There'll be a link in the description and in the iCards. I'll even leave another big, obvious arrow to help you find it easier. Anywho, Embird was definitely the fan-favorite starter out of the three, and it's not hard to see why. The big head, small body, and cute pose all came together to make a design that is best described as baby. Aww. Its name is a combination of Ember and Bird, and in terms of concept, it's just a sulfur-crested cockatoo with a fiery feather crest. The fire typing comes from the ancient aboriginal belief that a cockatoo gave them the gift of fire. It's a pretty simple inspiration, but not every concept needs to be as complicated as Zolif's. In terms of design, I didn't change much about Embird. The only critiques I really got were about the face and the feet. The feet weren't something that I really wanted to change since I liked the unique shape, but I completely understand the feedback on the face. It was a bit flat, and the beak made it look less like a cockatoo than I wanted. To fix that, I turned the head just slightly and made the beak a little bit bigger and more cockatoo-like. The last things I changed were the wings, giving them actual feathers instead of keeping them as just big, round, globulous shapes. Embird, the fire starter Pokemon, a fire type. Embird has more energy in its tiny body than it can reasonably handle. It acts hyperactively and rarely eats to expend as much energy as it possibly can. When stationary, Embird will burn through energy by releasing it as heat through its fiery feather crest. In its home region, Embird is viewed as a symbol of life, always moving forward until its well of energy gets used up. It is also attributed to giving the ancient people of its home the gift of fire. Embird honestly didn't change much, but this redesign was still a huge improvement. You'll have to let me know what you think of this redesign in the comments down below. Your feedback is always welcome here, and it just helps me improve as an artist. Speaking of things that are always welcome, you should also leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. My goal is to reach 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I'm only 2,000 subscribers away from that becoming a reality. So if you like my content and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Anywho, let's move on to some of the more drastic redesigns of today's video, starting with Birntoo. Birntoo was honestly my favorite middle stage starter design out of the three. Its concept of being the ashes of a dead, burnt-out phoenix that is also experiencing burnout was absolutely ingenious. Its name is also pretty ingenious, being a combination of bird, burn, cockatoo, and the phrase burnt out. You all seemed to like Birntoo just as much as I did, but you again pointed out some flaws in the design that I couldn't overlook. Most of these critiques were about the color, which I'll get to later, but there were also a few people talking about Birntoo's feet. Again, Quite a few of you felt that the feet made Birntoo feel like a burnt Thanksgiving turkey, which is a hilarious visual, but not something I wanted for this design. To fix this, I changed the position of the feet and added claws and other details to help move away from the burnt turkey vibes. Another thing that helped was changing the general pose of Birntoo to make it look more like a bird and less like a holiday meal. A few other comments informed me that Birntoo's wings didn't really look like wings, and I agree. They don't look like wings. They look more like burnt pancake batter. Oh gosh, this video is making me hungry now. Putting my hunger aside, I honestly attribute the way Birntoo's wings looked before to pure laziness on my part. But that's okay, because now the wings have actual feathers, so that should fix the problem. For the rest of the redesign, I took from a few art pieces that my Discord members made. Quick pause. If you want to send me redesigns or fan art of my Pokemon, then Discord is definitely the best place to do that. There will be a link to my Discord server in the description and in the iCards. Here's another big red arrow to help direct you. Anywho, let's get back to the video. One design by RexRoar44 added more details to the feathers covering Birntoo's eyes, and another design by Deer in a Suit made Birntoo a bit less round and gave it a better silhouette. I actually pulled quite a bit from Deer's redesign for this iteration of Birntoo. I really liked it a lot, so a deer in a suit? I hope you don't mind. Anywho, I changed up the tail feathers and redid the patches of bright orange so they looked like they were burning at the tips of Birntoo's feathers. For the colors, a lot of you suggested using a lighter gray for the main body and changing the yellow to something less saturated. This was a good call. The original color scheme made the details of the design really hard to see, so I lightened up the gray and used an even lighter gray for the accents as opposed to the yellow. I then took the charcoal color from the original design and used it for the mess of feathers on its head. The last change I made was making the orange redder to imply that the burning feathers aren't as hot as they were in Embird's design. Birntoo, the Burnout Pokemon, and the evolved form of Embird, a fire type. All the energy Birntoo had in its previous form has completely vanished upon evolution. Its bright flames have been reduced to nothing more than dull embers burning at the tips of its feathers. Birntoo lacks the motivation to do anything more than sit and rest, yet some trainers still believe that it could be a strong partner if given the chance. The ancient people of its home region associated Birntoo with death, as it is dark and unmoving with no desire to do anything more than rest. However, those people also believed that death wasn't the end. Birntoo as a Pokemon was pretty great before the redesign, but now it's even better. It looks more like a bird, and its details are no longer obscured by its dark colors. This redesign was definitely necessary, and I'm so happy with it. You'll have to let me know what you think of Birntoo in the comments down below. Like I said before, your feedback is always welcome here. Anywho, it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for Eternix. Okay, so Eternix is a sulfur-crested cockatoo and a rising phoenix. The reason for this mixture is because the ancient aboriginals associated cockatoos with the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Phoenixes are also associated with this cycle, so it was a pretty perfect combo. Eternix's name is a combination of eternal and phoenix, and oh my gosh, I had such a difficult time redesigning it. I pretty much knew exactly how I wanted to redesign it, but I had such a hard time getting the pose right. In the original design, the wings took up a lot of horizontal space and made the rest of the body way too small. This really sucked because I liked the original pose a lot. It had a large, domineering presence that made it seem powerful. But because of the problems I just talked about, I had to change it. Luckily, I managed to come up with a pose that kept that powerful presence that I liked from the original, and I even managed to shrink the wings just slightly without making them look too small. The pose and the size of the body were personal critiques that I had about the original design, but I wasn't the only one who had critiques. While overall Eternix was very well liked, there were still quite a few of you giving me feedback on the design. I got a few comments telling me that the eyes were too small, but luckily that problem fixed itself when I changed the pose. A lot more people were focused on the red belly of the original design. Most of you agreed that it looked like somebody shaved it, which is definitely something I wanted to change. But one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I saw was that Eternix didn't look enough like a fairy type. Now, I don't think that every Pokemon has to very obviously wear their typing on their sleeve, but I do agree that the original design didn't really have any fairy aspects to it. So to fix both of these problems, I covered the majority of the body in fire, covering up most of the belly and breaking up what would otherwise be white. I later made this fire pink and added little swirls and sparkles all over the flames to help convey Eternix's fairy type. Adding pink to a design to make it look like a fairy type is a little bit of a cop-out, I'll be the first to admit that, but I honestly think that it works really well in this case. The last few changes I made to the design were elongating the neck, changing the beak to match the other two forms, and adding a yellow and charcoal pattern to the chest that helps tie Birntoo into the evolutionary line better. I also added a lot of fire to the design like I was talking about before. Eternix now has a flaming collar and legs that are cloaked in flames. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I cloaked the legs in fire because I was having way too much trouble redesigning them. But that's okay because we love it when shortcuts turn out to look super cool. Eternix, the forever Pokemon, and the final evolved form of Embird, a fire and fairy type. The magical flames of an Eternix cannot be extinguished by any known chemical compound. They burn brighter and hotter than any other fire-type Pokemon's flames, yet they do not burn what they come into contact with. Many myths surrounding Eternix claim that the Pokemon can live forever. The ancient people of its home region associated it with rebirth, believing that it rose from the ashes of its previous form to protect them from harm. I absolutely love the redesign of Eternix. The whole thing seems arguably more powerful than it did before. Floralodal was definitely my favorite fully evolved starter at the start of this project, but now I'm not too sure. They're both just so cool. But with that, 2 out of the 3 starter lines are done. All we have left to redesign now is the water types, so be sure to leave feedback on those designs in the comments or in my Discord server. And definitely let me know what you think of the designs you saw in this video. Do you think they look better than before? Do you prefer the original designs? Tell me in the comments. I love to hear your opinions. But with that being said, I hope you liked the video. If you did, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I hope you all have a great day, and just remember, Porter was here.